Hey, what's up, riders? Old Man Ronin here. Welcome back to the channel. You know, today I thought we would head over to Fink's Harley Davidson in beautiful Zanesville, Ohio, and pick up some parts for the 2007 Sportster Super Low of M's. It's her bike. We're doing a handlebar job, and the reason we have to go over there is because of that. Yeah, the guy that did the handlebar job before, man, if you've been following me on Instagram, you've been seeing the trials and tribulations we've had on that. But we're going to go over and pick up new wiring because he did a terrible job. He cut the wires. And again, go to Instagram, particularly a Friday update where I had WTF, and you'll see why we have to go over to pick up some parts at Harley Davidson in Zanesville. Well, until then, we're going to talk about why I changed my mind on the 2018 Royal Enfield Himalayan. Stay tuned. It's going to surprise you. So on our way over to Fink's Harley Davidson, I thought I would do kind of a redux and basically give you a update on why I have changed my mind on the Royal Enfield Himalayan. Now, it's not what you think. First off, if you've watched a lot of my videos, you'll hear me say over and over and over again, I do not do reviews of motorcycles until I have over 1,000 miles on them. Well, in my first impressions, that's a different type of story. I'll tell you exactly how I feel at that particular moment. However, time on the motorcycle is what really makes the difference. And to be honest with you, since I first did my first impressions, and this is why I'm calling it a redux, it's kind of like a first impressions rewind of what I said in that particular video. In that particular video, I said, man, I kind of wish that it would be a little bit bigger engine, maybe a 500 or a 525cc, and I would really like another 6 gear or something like that, and those type of things. That was one of the first impressions that I had of the motorcycle. Since then, it has completely changed. I am in love with this little 410, 411cc engine. This thing is a cool little motor. It has a lot of power underneath it. In fact, you know, when I was doing that first impressions, I didn't have a lot of time off-road, and that's really why I bought this bike, is to have more off-road or back road or gravel road time on the motorcycle. And since that first impressions and my 6 months review, I've done a tremendous amount of back road, gravel road, and off-road deer trail type riding. And that is where this motorcycle shines. I'm telling you, that low-end torque, you can literally crawl this thing. If you use your clutch and you hit that friction zone, and whether you stand up or you sit down, using your brakes and in conjunction with engine braking, this thing will climb pretty much anything. And as a stock motorcycle, I mean, I have no aftermarket parts on this as far as the engine, the drivetrain, and or the tires. This thing is remarkable. It really does a fantastic job. The only complaint I have are the tires, and it's not because of the road, because I'll tell you what, on gravel roads, these little country roads like we're on right here, or back roads, this thing is marvelous. The tires are amazing, but not so much in the mud. If you guys watched the video I did about scoping out or scouting out or looking for new moto camping spots, you'll see that I said that, man, I had trouble going up a couple hills that had a lot of mud at the bottom of them, and I did. I mean, that was an issue. I did have some issues with that. However, it didn't stop me from getting where I needed to go. I just had to do a little bit of finagling, in other words. I had to back up a little bit, and I had to run up the hill, and a little bit higher speeds, which it's really tough to do higher speeds when you're going around a really sharp 90 degree and sometimes even 110 degree or 20 degree corners You can't do higher speeds in the middle of woods where there's trees all around you. I mean, I could have maybe if it was already established, but these trails are just literally where the deer walk. And when I mentioned before in that particular video, I said, you know, we're having to walk the bike, and a lot of people thought, well, are you getting off the bike and walking it? No, that's not what I meant. What I mean by walking the motorcycle is going really, really slow. So much slow that you can actually probably walk faster than the motorcycle's going. So I use that term. What's some of the other things I've changed my minds on the Royal Enfield Himalayan? One of the things that I've noticed is since this bike is becoming more and more popular worldwide, and in particular here in the United States, that price level has jumped up. Dealers are commanding more and more money for these bikes, and there's a lot of, I don't want to say tariffs, because I don't think there are that many, if any at all, on this bike. What I think there is, though, is there's the supply and demand. What I mean by that is this bike is hyper popular, so the supply is low, and when that happens, the demand becomes greater and prices rise, whether you call that fortunately or unfortunately. And I know a lot of guys are telling me from India, because I do have a tremendous following in India, that you'd be amazed at what the Indian prices are, and that's probably true, but of course the cost of living is different. Heck, the cost of living is different where I live, where it is in nearby hour away Columbus, Ohio. It's really expensive to live over there. So let's say $5,000 in Columbus isn't as big as $5,000 here in rural Ohio. And I think that's what you have to understand. So I'm sure they're pricing it in India based upon shipping costs are taken off, and also maybe even tariffs. I don't know if there's a tariff tax on that or not. If there is, somebody can let me know down in the comments. But the price has gone up. Not as high as some of the other motorcycles on the market, but it has gone up, and I would relate that primarily more not to taxes or tariffs, but to supply and demand, because this thing is on fire. Not literally, I mean, it's not literally on fire, you don't see it burning, do you? But it's literally very, very popular. I'll tell you one thing though, while I'm looking at it here, this Enfield Accessories phone mount, man, I tell you, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. And the reason I love it is because I've got this little guy right here that enables me to charge my phone, because like an idiot, I didn't charge my phone last night. Boy. I said before that I thought, well, maybe I want a taller seat, or maybe I want, you know, the touring model seat. After all the miles that I've got on this right now, in all conditions, I'm totally satisfied with it. Maybe I would like a little bit more height, but as far as comfort level, I mean, this thing is amazing. But I think the stance is one of the things that I really have decided that I like better than what I thought I did. It gives me good control. I really do enjoy the way that I'm sitting. It's very comfortable. Here I'm cruising right at what, 4,700 RPM at just under 60 miles an hour. The GPS says 57, so that's approximately right. The speedometer and my GPS are almost right on. So that gives me good feelings as well too. But as far as the comfortability, I'm riding down the road. It's pretty chilly out. It started at 27 degrees this morning. I mean, we live in a bipolar state apparently, because it was 75 2 days ago, and yesterday we had snow, and today we have clear skies, well, clearish skies, and it's probably, I think it's going to be a high today of like 60, but it started out really cold, so it's going to change temperatures pretty drastically. So what's another thing that's made me reconsider what my first impressions were as well too? But is the camaraderie and the popularity that I've received from this motorcycle. You know, if you watch, my most popular video by far is WTF, what's a Harley rider doing on a Himalayan, and I'll put it up in the corner there to let you take a look at it. Maybe put a card there to take you right to it. But that is by far my most popular video, because I have a bunch of Harley Davidsons. In fact, you know, we're going on a trip right now to go over to get some parts for M's 883 Super Low, because of that terrible handlebar job the guy did before we purchased the bike. But yeah, the camaraderie, the amount of people that's talking about Old Man Ronin, and the amount of people that's enjoying the site, the YouTube channel here, and also Instagram, the number. I mean, I really didn't do a whole lot with Instagram or Facebook before, and we're getting a lot more popularity. In fact, let me get a chance to mention this. I started a Fans of Old Man Ronin on the Facebook group, because I thought that would be a good place for people to come and talk to each other, kind of like a little forum, if you will. But then you can also ask questions and be in touch with me a lot. Now, I don't know how often I'll be personally on there, but if you go join the group, you can talk to other people that have Himalayans, and I think it'll be kind of fun. I don't know, I started it a while back ago, but I didn't do anything with it until, let's say, today, because this is the first time I'm making a public announcement with it. But I think that'd be a good thing. But it boils down to how much attention that this Himalayan gets is just totally blowing me away, and it's something I didn't really expect. Now, I think Royal Enfield in its own right is jumping, I mean, dramatically as far as its popularity worldwide, and I can see why. I mean, it's basically a no-brainer for me, because it literally is a hyper-popular ADV or everyday bike. In fact, I think I'm going to do a video coming up on why I think the Himalayan is the best all-around forever motorcycle. And there'll be some little subplots to that as well too, but that'll be an upcoming video. But as far as going back to the popularity part, this thing really has gained me a lot of attention, and you have no idea how appreciative I am of Royal Enfield building the Himalayan. Now again, I have zero ties with any company as we speak right now. Now that could change, but I still only have, well, I'm up to what, 57, almost 5,700 subscribers by the time we see this, and we just hit 5,000 a couple weeks ago. So we're growing. It's just a slow process. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. But it is a slow process, and I do realize that most of my audience is based here still in the US, but I have a tremendous global reach. Australia, New Zealand, Germany, England in particular. We're Israel. I have a lot of fans in Israel, and Qatar and places like that. But that makes me very happy, because I think that Royal Enfield has really opened the door for me globally, and I think that's something that a lot of motovloggers don't really have right now. And I think that's important, because, you know, we're going through some drastic changes here in the world, and I kind of want to be one of the first global motorcycle channels that we're going to ride motorcycles from all over the world. And you know what, Royal Enfield is coming to rise at the same time that that I think that it should. It's a great brand. I mean, a lot, you know, I told you in one of the first videos, this is the very first Royal Enfield I've ever owned. I rode the Bullet, the 500 Bullet, golly, back in probably 2010, and I almost bought one, but it just wasn't financially set for me at the time. It was back in a dealership up in Northeast Ohio that I don't think they even carry them anymore. I don't even know if it's around anymore. It's called Spike's Vintage Bikes, and they were cool people. In fact, I sold my 1983 Honda CB650 to them because I was having a hard time finding parts, and to be honest with you, if I have that hard a time finding parts, it's time to let go, even though I love that motorcycle. I know it was a Honda. But that's why I have the luxury of goofing on Honda once in a while, because I have owned a few of them, and they are great motorcycles. I just like to tease people. But as far as the global attention that we're getting and the love that I'm receiving, I mean, I get all the time people from India saying they really appreciate me for putting out these kind of videos. Well, that's not the intention. I'm not trying to butter up India. I love the country. I've been there back in the 70s. But as far as that goes, I love this brand, and it just happens to be made in India. Has its roots in England, but made in India. And I think that they're doing a fantastic job for the motorcycle industry. They're turning out great quality bikes at reasonable prices. And again, if we're still talking about going back to the cost where it's changed a little bit, it's still very inexpensive. And to be honest with you, I love this motorcycle, the way it handles off-road. That's probably the biggest change in what I've talked about, and that's going to bring us to our next level. The Royal Enfield Himalayan reminds me of a dirt bike. Not that it's quick revving. It doesn't remind me of that. Well, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't say a dirt bike. Maybe I should say a very, very, very heavy trials bike. Because I can literally crawl over a lot of things. Now, I'm not going to be crawling over logs and doing fancy jumpy jumps like that the trial bike riders do. But what it gives me, and it surprised me, and I don't know if it changed my mind on it because I don't really have that much experience off-road at that particular time, but it literally gives me the ability to climb through deer trails. And you know, as we're talking here, you're seeing me put different views in on some of the older videos. Some will be in the summer, some will be in the winter, some will be in the spring, but you know, if you've already noticed. But it's given me the ability to do something that I haven't been able to do in a really long time, except on a dirt bike, and that's crawl through deer trails. And I think one of the most important things that you can get from that is, you know, a lot of guys want high performance, to be able to go really, really fast off-road or on back roads, and I get that. You know, the Pan American, which is Harley's had just introduced, and the GS 1250s, and the what do you call it, Triumph Tigers, and the Ducati Multistradas, and KTMs, and all Adventure Series, all those motorcycles have a hell of a lot bigger engine, except for the 390s and stuff like that, or the 310. But they have a hell of a lot bigger engines, and they go really fast, and everybody shows jumpy jumps, you know, in this off-road area. But one of the things I learned a long time ago, doing a lot of cross-country trips, is you don't really want to do hot doggy stuff when you're on a long trip. What I mean by that is, if I'm taking a trip on my Sportster all the way to Mexico, I'm not doing wheelies here. I'm not running at the highest RPM for hours upon hours at a time. I'm taking it nice and easy. And this bike does nice and easy better than any other motorcycle I've ever had. And it does it off-road in particular. Like I said, that last video that you've seen me, and again, we're showing them the video right now, of me climbing through those trails at really slow speeds. That a lot of the times I was standing up, but you couldn't see it because I had the front camera on, which I didn't put on today. I thought, well, this is going to be a fairly quick trip, and it's going to be a fairly quick video, so I thought, well, I'm just not going to do it. It's not really a very pretty ride over here. It's back road riding, but it's not like beautiful scenery and gravel roads. I mean, ooh, pretty. No, but you know what I mean. It's more or less just me talking about this motorcycle and adding other footage in the middle of it, which is, I think, really important. But again, it's my changes in thought process on this particular bike, and I'll tell you, it just is. It literally has changed my opinion on a lot of different things. Now, some of the other videos you've seen have given the reinforcement what I'm saying, but I really wanted to do this one. Had thousands of followers and subscribers since those early videos, and I wanted to make sure everybody's got a chance to get a good feeling of what exactly I'm talking about, of how this bike has changed my opinion on a lot of different aspects of it. Well, so far we've talked about you know, the engine size of the performance, and how I thought, well, maybe it needed this and maybe it needed that and yada yada yada. No, it doesn't need anything. It's perfect the way it is for what I'm using it for. Then we talked about the cost, how it's changed. Now, that's been a downside for a lot of people, but you got to realize that that is supply and demand. And then we talked about the stance and how she feels riding it, and how the comfortability of the seat is, and how I've changed my mind from maybe wanting a taller seat, maybe not, but also wanting something a little stiffer. I don't. I think this seat is broken down perfectly for me, and it really feels good. And then we talked about this exposure and what it's done for me personally, and how it's made me a better motorcycle rider, to be honest with you. I ride my Harleys different now compared to when I was riding just them. So all those things have come down to a realization that yes, I've changed my mind. I've always said before, I really love this motorcycle. I really, really love this motorcycle. Well, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's kind of a redux on what we've talked about before, but I think we know people will get appreciation of it. If you have, give us a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, hit that bell notification button, share and comment. You know, as always, I read all the comments and comment on as many as I possibly can. Until next time, ride safe, everybody, and keep her on two wheels, baby.